Here's something most of us never really stop to think about. You know that person who doesn't reach for their phone when everyone else does? Standing at the concert, the sunset, the dinner table, just there, fully present. And when someone asks why they didn't take a picture, they just shrug and say, "I don't really use social media." And suddenly, that answer feels strange, almost suspicious, like they just admitted they live outside a system everyone else depends on. But that person is not disconnected. They are not behind. They are not missing out. They might actually be protecting something most people have already lost without noticing. So what is actually happening inside the mind of someone who chooses to step away from social media? Because the answer might completely change the way you think about attention itself. Here's a quick deal. If you want more content like this that breaks down real human psychology and helps you understand yourself and the people around you, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, and drop a comment saying "seen" so I know this is reaching the right people. Now let's get straight into it. Let's start with why social media feels so hard to ignore. Because it taps into one of the most basic systems in your brain: the need to feel seen, the need to feel validated. Every like, every comment, every notification sends a signal that says, "You matter." And your brain releases dopamine, the same chemical tied to reward, the same system that drives cravings and addiction. And here is what makes it powerful. Social media gives you unpredictable rewards. Sometimes your post gets attention, sometimes it doesn't. And that uncertainty is exactly what keeps you coming back. But people who don't use social media don't depend on that system. Their sense of reward comes from something deeper: internal satisfaction, meaning, presence. They don't need hundreds of people to respond to a moment to feel like that moment mattered. The moment itself is enough. Psychology calls this intrinsic motivation. And when you operate from that place, you stop performing your life. You start living it. Here are 3 things that shift inside the mind of someone who steps away from social media. The first is freedom from comparison. Every time you scroll, your brain is quietly measuring your life against someone else's highlight reel, a filtered version, a curated performance. And in that comparison, you almost always lose. But when that loop doesn't exist, your brain stops being constantly disrupted. Lower anxiety, less pressure, more stability. The second is recovered attention. Endless scrolling trains your brain to expect something new every few seconds. Over time, it becomes harder to stay with one thing, one idea, one moment. People who don't use social media read longer, think deeper, stay present without needing constant input. They are not just changing a habit, they are changing how their mind operates. The third is real presence. When you are constantly documenting your life, part of your attention is always thinking, "How does this look? How do I share this?" And because of that, you remember less. Your brain was not fully there. It was partially performing. But when you step away, you experience things directly. Those experiences stay with you differently. They are not content. They are memories. And maybe that is the most thought-provoking insight of all. Your attention is your life. And wherever it goes, your experience follows. People who don't use social media have simply decided that their attention is worth protecting. And in a world where everything is fighting for it, that choice matters more than most people realize. So the real question is not, why don't you use social media? It is, what are you choosing to give your attention to instead? If this made you think about your own relationship with social media, drop a comment below. Could you go a full month without it? I read every single one. See you in the next one.